Welcome to Late Late Horror Show. I am Dino, and in a minute we will talk about what we're going to do with this genre of movies, Giallo, in 1 second. So, and we'll talk about So Sweet, So Dead. So here we go after the intro.
Is it just me? Or is it getting crazier out there?
Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Dino here, ready to talk some Giallo. So Sweet, So Dead from 1972. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Giallo genre because I think this is the last one that I'm going to dive into on the channel. And there's many reasons why. And after I start talking about this film, you'll probably understand why I'm saying this and what the reason behind it is. It's certainly been a wild ride and an interesting one, that's for sure. Hello to the people in the chat. Connie, what's going on? Dave Plouffe. Hey, Dave and Bow. Dave and Bow are here. Black Roses, what's going on? Good to see you. CJM753BC. Hey, everybody. Hides in Long Grass, enlighten me. Oh yeah, no, I'm going to be talking about Giallo here a little bit. Then I'm going to get into the film. So Sweet, So Dead. It's a typical Giallo film. This one, 1972, directed by Roberto Bianchi Montero, and a big cast of characters, which I'm not even going to go into all the names. The only ones of any significance in this film is Inspector Capuana, who is the investigator, the police officer, the inspector, and his wife Barbara Capuano, and inspectors played by Farley Granger, who I will get into his character, his real life actor, the real life actor, and reasons why he. Listen, this movie is interesting. Hello, Rosalia. What is going on? Poe Girl Shines. I haven't seen you in a long time, Poe Girl. Bo, my cat. There you go, Dave Plouffe. I'm like going, wait, Bo, what's going on there? Listen, it's this movie has got me in kind of a interesting state, so to speak, because I have to explain why I don't think I'm going to do any more Giallo films as reviews on the channel anymore. If I do, it's going to be one that I've watched, because I'm going to still continue to watch Giallo films because I'm a fan of horror and I'm a fan of the genre. But I've watched over 40 films. I've taken a ride. I know Dario Argento is the man. He is the man when it comes to Giallo films. That is what I like. That is what I love. Anything else? There are some good ones. There's some very good ones, but I'd say 80% of the Giallo films that I've watched from the 70s have some issues. Whereas I like them, and I usually gave them a 5 out of 10 across the board. They definitely, there's some issues with what goes on in these movies. Hey CM, what's going on? Emily, good to see you. Good to see you. I'm going to talk just for a few minutes why I'm not going to review Giallo films on the channel anymore, and then I'll get into trying to talk about this film, because there's a lot I can't talk about. It was given a rated X. The opening scene for this movie starts right out with a naked dead girl on a bed, And that, boom, right in your face, bam, whoa, what? That's it. And then the premise of this film, which I have to get into because it kind of relates to why I'm not going to talk about Giallo films too much unless I come across an interesting Giallo film that is good to talk about on the channel. But I can't keep coming here every week or whenever I talk about it, these Giallo films and discuss them, where in the 70s, Italian Giallo films, they had, so I don't know what was going on with women, with the men who were like, women were just trash in a lot of these films. And to talk about them over and over and say, I enjoy this Giallo film, I like it, and then try to discuss it, and then talk about how the women were just trashed. Like this film, this was it for me when it came to this. I enjoyed this film. I did enjoy it. But the thing with, hey, Tricky, what's going on? The thing, again, with this film, okay, the plot of this film right here, So Sweet, So Dead, revolves around a serial murderer who sometime in his life, he was probably rejected by a woman. No, not rejected, but cheated on by a woman. Okay. Thus, he becomes a serial murderer. Okay. And the plot of this film, basically, the entire film is there's a killer on the loose going after political government higher ups. Okay. Husbands whose wives, they're all cheating on them. All of them. They're all cheating on them. Everyone in this movie is cheating. And it was one sex scene after the other, after the other, after another, where the woman is cheating on the man. No reference whatsoever to the man cheating or anything going on there. It's just the wife is cheating. And again, I think it's because who we find out is the serial murderer in this film, which red herrings, they do kind of throw you off a bit, which is good. But, evidently sometime in his life, he was cheated on. Thus, he's going to go after all of the women who are cheating on their husbands in this film without reference to any of the men or the husbands or what they're doing, because they're cheating too. And he's not going after them. He's not even going after the men who are cheating with the women on their husband. You get what I'm saying? So it's just basically the women are sluts and trash, and they need to go. And this serial murderer is somebody, listen, he's your typical Giallo killer in his black fedora, black gloves, black trench coat. There's even a really cool scene in one of the murders where he starts to run after the girl who, Renata, I think it is, who runs out of the house and is running down on a beach, and they do it slow-mo, and you could see him kind of in his jacket, and nylon over his face. So he's got that typical Giallo killer look, totally 100%. Slow motion running out. It's very cool in the daytime. It's kind of a cool scene. Kathy, what's going on? Good to see you, Kathy. I'm going to glance over every few seconds when I can. Society is or was harsher to women on adultery. Dark and stormy night, says Rosalia. A dark and stormy night. Hello, what is going on? Good to see you. Good to have you. These films are about blood, bazumbas, and misogyny. OCM. Listen, and see, again, I'm saying that I somewhat enjoy these films. The great ones are great. These middle of the road ones, I think I've just kind of had enough of them. But and I get the time period, the male misogyny, the how everything was. It just was different. And listen, we get that in American slashers too. Not always. We started getting final girls, girls who would fight back and not take it. You know what I mean? Even in the 70s and 80s. I mean, definitely, you had final girls. You had women who fought back and stuff like that. But in these films, it's just not like that. But in this one, it just got to me because I'm watching. And listen, literally, I didn't count, but there was literally 6, 7, or 8 kills of women. And each one of these women, they jumped from one sex scene to the next, to the next, to the next. And I'm like going, and then once they're done, she leaves and she gets killed. And it was always the same way. It was him with his knife. It was a cut to the throat, right underneath the breast, and down by the leg in between there. You know what I'm saying? It was always the same. Nothing really unique about the kills in particular, except, the beach scene was a little bit different. Renata actually tried to escape up a spiral staircase. Don't ask me why. And was killed on the spot. And that was kind of different, but it still was the same old kind of kill. There was nothing really unique about what was going on. So there was that. And he always left pictures. He would leave like a calling card. Like he would leave the pictures that he would take, snapshots of the woman and the man she was cheating with. And then he would throw them around her as he killed them. And that was kind of his calling card. And the Inspector Capuana, would come, check out the place and see that what was going on. And then the bodies would go to the morgue, where we're introduced to 2 other characters. We're introduced to Professor Casali, who's a very, your typical professor, doctor. He's got the white lab coat. He's in kind of the morgue. He's checking out the body. He's accompanied by his sidekick, if you will, Gaston, who is very pale and has got rings around his eye. And he's even got the blonde kind of yellowy hair. He just looks very off, like Renfield in Dracula or something like that. And he's his sidekick. We'll stop there real quick. Let me check out the chat. Is it a radio play or a film? Angelus. Is it a radio play or a film? You mean So Sweet, So Dead? I haven't seen you here before, Angelus. So you might be new to the channel, but overnights for 12 hours, we have the old time radio shows. Those are radio plays. Beforehand, a couple hours, Monday through almost every day, whenever I do something, there's movie discussions on movies, and it's usually in the title. Okay. Or trivia nights on horror films. So there's always different stuff going on on the channel. So this is a movie discussion on a movie. I know I got to catch up here. Let me catch up with everybody, and then I'll continue with the professor and Gaston in the morgue, and we'll take it from there. Let's see. Good to see you, Dark and Stormy Night. Well, again, welcome to the channel. I've never seen you in the chat before, but it's good to have you here. Connie, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I really do. You know that. Pole Girl Shines, I think I took Bazumba class. Bazumbas, not those Bazumbas. And there's a lot of them in this film. Anyways, WTF horror and sci-fi. Hello, WTF. Yeah, WTF. I was pumping up your channel because of that original content. Piggy. I hope we get more of that stuff. I see what you're doing now. Tons do that. Streaming that stuff. But hopefully you keep up with the original content. That's what made me excited about your channel. Just saying. Love you, WTF. More power to you. Seems like Giallo had dark issues. Yeah, Rosalia. Giallo most certainly had some issues. And I don't know if it was a cultural thing, if it just was a European thing, if it was, I don't know what it was. Because I'm not going to say that the Americans, when they made films here in Hollywood back in the 30s, 40s, even through the 50s, things were, a certain way. They expected certain things from the sexes, right? How it was, put into Giallo films the way it was with all the male misogyny and how hard hitting they went with basically every film. There's not a film that I can think of until we maybe got to the 80s and some of Argento's films. And even there was a lot of male misogyny and, other types of misogyny and stuff going on. But I don't know why that is. I really don't. But sometimes, again, it's hard to continue to discuss the genre when it's the same thing over and over and over again. You know what I mean? It's constantly multiple female victims. Like in this film, like I said, just got me with, cheating on the husbands, and that's it. Nothing else. So who cares about anything else? It was just that. With that said, I did enjoy the film for what it was. It was a 5 out of 10 for me. But anyways, I'll continue on with this film in a second because there is a kind of a really interesting twist ending to the film that I really want to talk about. That's I was like, wow, you got to be kidding me. But again, the other thing I should say about this film, this should say it all. Okay. Well, first of all, the original Italian title stood for Revelations of a Sex Maniac to the Chief of the Mobile Squad. What a freaking weird name. What a weird title to the film. I'm like, what? You would think that it would be, kind of offhanded or maybe it's a bit comical or something like that by that title. But no, I mean, for the most part, the movie was pretty straight-laced and very serious. They really kept, the content of the killer and what was going on very serious. So there was that. But the other strange thing, and this will tell you all you need to know. There, and I'll get to the comments in a second here too. And hey, Mike Barrett, probably no more Giallo. I'm going to start watching Euro horror, European horror from the early days. Somebody was telling me about it, and I'm going to start diving into those. I've had enough of this Giallo. I've hit 40 in, kind of got the feel. But there was one re-edited version that was released in the U.S. And when they did that, they released it and called the title of the film Penetration. So with that said, and hello, Rich Cat Ranch and Gotham City Comics. What is going on? I will get to you guys a second. I'm a little behind in the chat, but I will address anything that's in the chat after I get through this. But yes, the re-edited version of this film in the US, they called it Penetration. And it featured hardcore porno footage. And this is another reason why, listen, I'm going a different direction. I've had enough of all of this kind of talk because I'm not sure everybody appreciates it. I really don't. As a horror fan, I'm going to continue the journey of Giallo, but it's just too much. But they put the footage in with adult film stars, okay? It was advertised as a porno film. I'm whispering like nobody's going to hear. But the lead actor, Farley Granger, who was in the original film but had nothing to do with the re-edited version, Granger threatened the distributors with a major lawsuit for the unauthorized use of the name in the new version, and they subsequently withdrew the film from distribution in the US, but not from Europe. But the fact that they could put X-rated scenes in there and get away and still call it kind of, take away from it being a Giallo film. I don't know. It just, that says all you need to know about what this film here kind of entailed. I mean, it's just, I don't know what more to say about that. Dark and Stormy Night. Okay, yeah, let me get to the chat real quick again here. Don't want to miss any. I did see the movie years ago, and it's coming back as you described the plot. Says Poe Girl Shines. Yeah, and I am going to get to, yes. Oh, listen, and the director himself, he did a lot of sexploitation films. Like Ian Sharp says right there, exploitation giallo is often close. That's exactly what it is. And hell, it's hard to talk about sexploitation films or exploitation films on my channel, because boy, you can get into a heck of a lot of topics and discussions that really wouldn't go in an interesting direction. Although I really like those films. Some of those films I like a whole lot. But yes, they were trying to make a profit. Boobies and violence sell. Yes, yes. Well, Ian Sharp, though, but I will tell you this: a lot of them, there's a plot. There's a bit of yes, there's a plot. CM. Yeah, just like the controversy of a Clockwork Orange. Marina Bellotta, what is going on? Bellotta. Marina, what is going on? Nice to see you here. Welcome to the chat. Clockwork Orange was a bit different, though. Listen, Clockwork Orange is a piece of art. I mean, it's that's one of my favorite films. I mean, when it comes to the genre, for sure. Very controversial, but I get what you're saying. Giallo films in particular, they definitely, I understand what Ian Sharp was saying, but I think they were trying to take it serious. I mean, hell, Blood and Black Lace, starting from the beginning, Mario Bava. He was not doing it. It eventually turned into kind of more boobs, more sex, more kills. That's what it eventually turned into. Putting it closer to the exploitations, that type of film. But you pronounced it right the first time, Marina Bellotta. Okay, good. Awesome. Okay, real quick back to this, and then I'll get to the movie if I can. I'm really loving this. Is it a radio? Okay, got to that all right. Hey, what this all about? Hello, channel subscribers as well. Yeah, just I do many movie discussions on the channel. And I am discussing this movie as I'm also saying goodbye for a while to Giallo films, unless one that I watch stands out and I have to talk about it. But I'm just tired of coming here week after week and saying 5 out of 10, it was okay. It's exactly what you think it is. And you know what's going on. Male misogyny, violence, nudity. But it's time to move on. But it's Stanley Kubrick. But anyway, back to the. Wait, what did I say? What, Marina? What did I say? It's Stanley Kubrick. Yes. Did I probably said something else, right? Clockwork Orange was based on. Yeah. Okay, hold on. Let me get to this. My God, the chat is going. If you're wearing a parachute, you can quickly get off a spiral staircase. See, yeah, that was a. It was what it was. Could this movie be a horror porn with a bad porn music? Yeah, a little bit of that. I believe it's a deep dive of Giallo film. Not sure which one you're talking about. Okay, yeah, Rich Cat Ranch, hello. Trying to catch up here real quick, you guys, and then I'll get back to the movie and talking about it. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, maybe that's it. Maybe you guys are just talking amongst yourselves. It's my first time. I usually do the late night radio stuff, Dark and Stormy Night. Well, listen, good to have you here. I do enjoy talking horror. Usually, I got now Elise with me. I did tons of these with Ginger. There's a playlist of tons of movies that I talked about Giallo. I would say this Giallo is straight out of the Giallo playbook. Yeah, no, I agree with you, Mike Barrett. 100%. 100%. Has anyone ever seen The Editor? Yes, we did it. A full movie discussion on this channel, Dark and Stormy Night. It's kind of a an homage to Giallo films, The Editor, a newer film, kind of a parody. Uh, I didn't care for it all that much. It was okay. It was okay. But there you go. Let's see. Yeah, we need more original stuff. Okay, thanks, man. WTF? Yeah, listen, I'm just saying, more Piggy is coming. Listen, I could watch old films any time of the day. But listen, I'm not trying to sound rude or nothing like that. But yeah, Duncan, what's going on, Duncan? Good to see you. Okay, boy. Could it be during the 70s there was a bit of film exploitation, exploiting women and some such? Yes, Black Roses, exactly. And good to see you, Gotham. Like I said, definitely one of the more sleazy and nasty giallos, Mike Barrett. Yeah, I mean, kind of. I think a lot of them are sleazy, but this one, in a different way, just like kind of just going after women and saying she's a cheater, she's the adulteress. The husband though can do whatever. It just was a weird kind of vibe for this film. Um, okay, so let me keep going. Just want to be sure. Got to run for a bit. Okay, Emily, good to see you though. This, yes, this had a porno. Yes, Mike Barrett. Okay, I think I might be expectation. Yeah, just like the controversy. Okay, you pronounced it right the first time. I think I'm caught up. It's actually one of the. It's actually one of my favorites as well. It's why I mentioned that Clockwork Orange. Yes, Marina. Clockwork Orange is fantastic and doesn't really get any better for the genre and has that kind of dystopian feel, right? I mean, that's kind of what it's all about. The downfall. Listen, did a whole Clockwork Orange discussion on this channel too many years ago. You can find everything here. Brian Kirkham, hey, fee fi fo fum. Dario Argento is the best for me by a long shot. His movies are giallo and are a work of art. It doesn't get any better. And again, I've watched over 40 films. I know there's many more to watch, and there's been some really good ones in them. The batch that I've been seeing, but no, sorry, that was just to talk. Texas. Gotcha. Okay, looks like I'm caught up. So, anyways, to continue on, we're again that premise. Typical giallo killer in the bushes, taking pictures of every one of his victims of the wives that are cheating. Then we're introduced to the professor and Gaston. Professor Casali is a mild mannered kind of doctor. He'll look at the body and he'll say, yeah, and then he'll start. He has many discussions with Inspector Capuana about profiling, about the killer himself. Who could it possibly be? And he's always throwing something out. And there's a red herring in Gaston too. Gaston is the sidekick. He's the guy who makes up the bodies after they're dead, sews them up, puts the makeup on, makes them look who they are. There's a point in the film where the inspector goes to his house to question him or just to see him. He's not pushing or anything, but Gaston's acting very weird, and it's just because he's a weird guy. He even says, "What woman's gonna like me? Once they know I work at the morgue," and I mean, but that's not the case because he really is a weird guy. Not just how he looks and acts, but he's got a room where he takes pictures and develops his pictures. He takes pictures of the dead bodies on the table, all naked, as he's preparing them. And he takes and tells his inspector, "You want to see? Come on in. Actually, I want to show you something." So he takes him in the room where he develops all these pictures, and he starts rubbing the pictures, and he goes, "Look at them, Inspector. Look at them. They look better dead than they do alive. They look better dead." So he's the inspector right away goes, "But they so force that red herring on you that you're like, he's not the killer. He's just some weird guy who I don't want to say the wrong word, gets off on what he's doing, but I mean, there's kind of that going on. But meanwhile, the Professor Casali, you get a few interactions with him throughout the film where he's trying to say he's a sex maniac, typical profiling, of a serial killer. And eventually kind of trying to throw you off because spoilers, spoilers. It does end up being Professor Casali, the guy who looks at the body and performs, the autopsy, whatever you want to call it, and gives his opinion and has influence on the inspector. And for some reason, again, they don't explain it in the film at all. But when Professor Casali is revealed at the end, and I'll get to that, that's a separate part of this discussion. But in the meantime, the killer, he's trying to do his best to, throw the inspector off, but he's doing all the killing, and they don't really get into why he's doing this. You have to kind of speculate that he's been cheated on by a woman in the past. Thus, he's going to take it out on all these women who are cheating on their husbands, and they're all doing it. And all the men are cheating on her, and they don't even care. They don't even love each other. It is what it is, okay? So that's that. Now let me look at the chat real quick. It wasn't a red herring. Mike Barrett, what do you mean? Did I miss something? Because yes, Mike Barrett. Let's see. Let's see what you guys are talking about. Didn't care for this one much. It was okay, but yeah, I mean, it's a 5 out of 10 for me. Again, no, sorry, that was just me. Okay, let me see. Why is that Ian? I have to address that, Mike Barrett. It was a red herring. I think if you're talking about Gaston, the weird Igor guy, whatever. I don't. He was a red herring. Listen, all these movies, everybody who acts strangely is a red herring. So I'm not sure where you're kind of disagreeing. Many were red herrings. I mean, you could look at the inspector and say he was a red herring. The only red herring who maybe you're saying the professor, because yes, the professor didn't come off as a red herring. The professor just came off as the guy talking to Inspector Capuana. So if you meant the professor, then I agree. He didn't come off as a red herring. He was one of the only people who didn't. So if that's what you meant, I agree with you. He needs to find a nice goth chick. Poe girl shines. Yes, I can see him definitely going with a goth chick, right? Yeah. Ah, baby. Yeah. Anyways, that's another discussion. Hey, Night Fright Talk Show. What's going on? A red herring. Let's see. He just. I just want to make sure I don't miss nothing. I do like him and Bava. Yep. A blue sardine. Yeah, make sure you hit that thumbs up, please. Thumbs up. Check out the description if you want to join the channel. Anything else? We do have the Shadow Knows All Night Tonight with Bill Johnstone. I fixed some of the audio on some of those to make them just sound a little bit better. There's some crackling with the records in some of them, but that's the best I can get. So they sound better, They're the Bill Johnstone ones, years, and The Shadow Knows All Night Tonight. Mike Barrett, sorry, I got confused. It's been a while. I did mean The Professor. Yes. Okay, so we're on the right boat. The right page, the same page, right? Is that how it goes? With our discussion here, because yes, the professor definitely no red herring. He's just in the shadows kind of character who, right at the end, they throw him in as this is your killer, no explanation why, no background, no nothing. Yeah, it's kind of how they do that. I used to work as Brian Kirkham. I used to work as a mortician's assistant. True story. It was a good line of work. People were always dying to get in. Listen, and High Boy Donuts as always to our good friend Dennis up there. He's still in the chat. Anyways, hey Paul L, what's going on? Much love to you, man. What was I going to say? Oh, my grandpa was a mortician. He quickly stopped working that job when one of the cadavers sat straight up in the room. It stood straight up, he said. And he said, I had enough. I mean, he said he would see hands move, fingers would twitch. You know what I mean? He said there would even be, close your ears if you don't like hearing stuff about appendages. My grandpa even said that a lot of the bodies would have hard-ons, and that's just part of the rigor mortis and all that stuff when it sets in. But he had enough of it. He said, nope, I'm done. I'm out of here. But crazy stuff. Hello, all you beautiful people in here tonight. I love and support Dino. Thank you, Paul. Much appreciated, as always. Yeah, Brian with the jokes. When I got my first job in the garden center, people used to joke about me learning the business from the ground up. Oh, Regina, there you go. Regina. Good to see you, Regina. If you're out of film, that's how to end a movie. Okay, so there is a point in this film. I'm getting towards the end here because, there's not a whole lot to really discuss, bit by bit. There's a part in the movie towards the end where Inspector Capuana, he comes up with the great idea of pinning the crimes on a weird psycho. So there's a scene where he kind of steals like the gloves and the trench coat, gloves. Hey, boss, what you want me to do with gloves? A pair of gloves and a trench coat. He wraps some newspaper, takes it to this psycho, whoever he is. He's just some guy out in the woods, and he's got pictures of the victims up on the wall. And he says, yes, I did it. You finally got me. And so the newspapers get a hold of it and all that. And he turns out to be this crazy, weird, psychotic guy who's going to accept it. But Inspector Capuana kind of set him up. And during the setup, okay, he gets taken away, goes in the papers, all that good stuff. And he finds out that the real killer, and I do believe the professor told the inspector, he said, all you're going to do is enrage the actual killer, because he's not going to accept that everything he's done and all the victims he's killed were done by a weird psychotic man. Listen, there would have been another murder. So he went and got away with it. But Inspector thought maybe he could flush him out. And in a way, he kind of does, so it is very interesting. And we will get to the end here very quickly. Yeah, it happens. If you're embalming someone and you have too much pressure flowing from the machine, stuff like that, it happens. Yeah, Brian. Yeah, no, my grandpa, he came out of World War II and started doing that line of work. And many stories from my grandfather. It's just so interesting. The stuff that, hey, I'm coming up to the twist ending here, you guys, that you might want to hear. It's very, very, it's very, very interesting and very, very, okay, here, let me get into it. Let's get to the end. Death Erection's not worth it. Ian Sharp, no. Oh boy, the plot to this movie sounds like real life, dark and stormy night. Well, I mean, it depends what life you're living, I guess, but uh, a lot of things are, accentuated and blown out of proportion. And listen, okay, so after that, Inspector Capuana gets a call from the actual killer. Killer calls him up on the phone as the inspector's sitting at his desk, and he starts to tell him that you think you're going to get away with that, and he's recording him again, typical fashion. He's recording him to any information he might get out of the recording, right? So as he's recording him and he's got the killer on the phone, the inspector, the murderer, Professor Casali, he's telling him, this ain't going to go over well. You're not going to get away with it. Your wife is going to be the next victim. And that's when the Inspector Capuana says, no, you only do girls who are committing adultery and cheating on their husbands. And that's when the Professor Casali tells him, exactly. Where is your wife now? And Inspector, this is where he starts to like freak out a little bit and starts going, wait a second. No. And they eventually hang up with him saying, where is she now? And he's going to go take care of his wife. She's the next victim. And it's funny because during that, afterwards, he keeps playing back the recording of him on the phone. And, he's trying to figure out how's my wife isn't cheating. He eventually gets up the guts and he calls home. She's not there. Where did she go? She went to go get her hair appointment done. He calls the hair place up. She's not there. He starts to kind of freak. Then he starts getting these little flashbacks here and there of his wife and her, in situations that didn't look right. And immediately I'm going, okay, this is a dumb part of the movie. Very, very, very dumb, because there's a character named Roberto that evidently Roberto is very good friends with his wife, Barbara. Very good friends, and they joke back and forth. And in the flashbacks, you see them joking back and forth, just joking, and even rubbing the arm in one scene. And he's flashback going, oh yeah. Then he flashes back to another scene where she's running around the corner, zipping up her skirt. And he's like, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, I'm getting ready to go to the pool. And he comes running around the corner after with towels and stuff like that. And you're like going, you didn't see any of that? What's wrong with you? What's going on? I don't understand. But very, very dumb part of the movie, because it kind of explains in simple terms that, yes, your wife is cheating and you don't know it. And you thought she wasn't. And she was. So the next part, which this starts to lead to the end of the film, and before I get to that twist ending, let me look at this real quick again. This movie is better with okay. My uncle Neil suffered a really bad injury in World War II, was offered either being a flower shop owner, whatever they called, or working with shoes. And he said, flowers smell better. Nice. Well, very good. Marina, I don't think that's a joke, is it? But no, I don't think so. But that's, listen, which one would I take? I think I'd probably take the flower shop position. Do you remember if they had a scene of the ladies talking in a spa? Yes, Po Girl Shines. There is that scene, and I'm about ready to talk about the twist ending in 1 second. There is a scene where all the wives are in a spa and they're talking. Again, I didn't go into details too much about each kill. Like there was an interesting one with, I should bring up, okay, there is that spa where all the wives are talking and they're all naked and they're getting massages. And, there's a female masseuse who's kind of rubbing all over the girls and they're talking back and forth like, oh, you shouldn't have nothing to worry about as they're talking to Barbara. That scene, it's funny you talk about that because Po Girl Shines, because yes, they're telling her she's got nothing to worry about if she's not cheating, right? You got nothing to worry, but they're all naked and they're all getting massages and it's very funny, but there is that scene. But there is a couple, which it's just an interesting part of the movie. One of the couples who get killed in the middle of the movie. I forget the name of the woman. I think it's, let's see. There's three. There's a couple. They're called Paolo is the man, Santangeli, and Franca Santangeli. They live in a house. He's a cripple. He kind of uses crutches to walk around, constantly hollering at her, and she's like she's a woman who just does whatever the hell she wants. Like, shut the hell up. And she lives next door to Inspector Capuana. Okay. And there's also a daughter and a younger daughter. But anyways, between the two, the couple, Santangeli, I'm trying to say it, but that couple, the one with the cripple, she gets killed in the same fashion as all the others, but she's in the backyard, and he throws the pictures out there, and the young girl next door sees it. Meanwhile, the cripple is hollering for her. I don't mean to laugh. Yeah, it's not laughable, but he comes out of his thing as she just got killed, and he's calling out her name. Where are you? Where are you? And he gets to the steps. I don't know what he's thinking, but his crutch slips on the first step and he goes tumbling all the way down and dies. So he's an inadvertent death that was not related to any deaths from the killer. But the police come and they're like, oh, she got killed. There's the pictures. Yeah, typical fashion. And then the husband's face down at the bottom of the steps. And they're just like, it's funny how all this happened here. But there is that. So anyways, getting to the twist ending. Not twist, but interesting ending. Hey, Harry Scott, what's going on? Good to see you. Your cheating heart will tell on you. Isn't that a Patsy Cline? I could be wrong. Let me see. Wasn't the wife having an affair with the nephew? The nephew, Roberto. Yes. Mike Barrett. Yeah. Again, it was very odd. The flashbacks just seemed wrong. I don't know. I would pick shoes. I love plants. Okay. No Columbo. Crutches. Guy wasn't dumb. I have to watch this again if I can find it. Yeah, Po Girl, listen. I don't know if I'm ever going to rewatch this film, to tell you the truth, but it was a mediocre watch. It was okay. Issues aside. Anyways, Hank Williams, my cheating heart. Well, listen, a lot of those singers sang other songwriters' songs. So, anyways, but. Okay, so during the recording that he got on the phone with the killer, the Inspector Capuana notices he keeps drawing stuff as he's listening to sounds, and he kind of picks up on a clock that goes off in the background. I'm sitting there going, what the hell's going on? What's he listening for? What? He hears a clock. Okay, I faintly heard the clock, but nevertheless, it could have been the audio on where I watched it. But he hears the clock and he goes, Oh, so he figures out that it's kind of, he goes to the professor's place and goes through the drawers and everything else. And he knows that he sees the clock, he opens it up, makes the same sound. So what ends up happening is his wife, Barbara, is meeting up with Roberto at this house, this location. I don't know whose house it is. I don't know how the inspector's going to know, but he ends up going, oh my God, I'm going to get there. But the interesting ending is that the killer, the Professor Casali, calls up that house, tells Roberto that the husband's onto you, you better get out of there. So instead of killing him, which in some Giallo films you would get the killer would have taken care of Roberto too. But he tells Roberto, leave. I got no beef with you. Leave, leave, leave. And Barbara shows up after. And she comes in. She doesn't see him there. She starts to get dressed. Well, she gets in her robe because they're there for one reason and one reason only. And the killer ends up coming in to take care of her. And I honestly, I didn't think she was going to get killed. I thought Barbara would survive for some reason. Don't ask me. Along with another woman, I forget in the film. It doesn't matter. But there were a couple that I thought they might survive. But nevertheless, the killer comes in and he starts to stab her. The inspector shows up at the house. He sees the killer in there over his wife's body. Barbara's still alive. But what do you think goes on in the inspector, his head, in Capuano's head? He's looking in there at the killer and he goes, he's kind of, you see him thinking, close up of the eyes. He's thinking of the cheating. He's thinking of what she did. And in the film, the screenwriter, the director, it's just written in that he hates everything that she did. He hates that she cheated on her and everything else. So he allows the killer to kill her. He allows the killer to kill her. Killer, 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 killer. He allows the killer to kill her. She does manage to pull off part of his thing, so he does see that it's the Professor Casali. But what I thought was very interesting was just the fact that he said, you know what? I'm going to let her die. She cheated on me. Go ahead, kill her. Because he's got a gun with him, and he's ready to go in there and take out the killer. But he waited till he killed Barbara. Then he comes in and shoots Professor Casali dead. Proceeds to walk over to the phone. And in typical Italian Giallo fashion, calls up and asks for backup to come, and stops there, credits roll, and that's the end of the film. Poor Barbara. Poor Barbara. So all I was thinking the whole time that this was going on, I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? This is what you do. Inspector Capuano was such an upstanding kind of guy through the entire film. And they just throw in at the very end, what would you do if you found this out? And would you be so enraged that you would allow it to happen? Or would you be the one to kill her immediately so that your wife could still live, And then maybe confront her and say, hey, I know what you've been doing. The killer told me. I know it's Roberto, this and that. Nope. So that's kind of the way they end it. And again, that's why I give it kind of a 5 out of 10. It was an okay watch for me. Like 90% of the Giallo films are. They're okay for me. I don't give too many bottom of the barrel, but it's mediocre, and it is what it is. So yeah, that's kind of how they end it. And let me go back to the chat, see what you guys are saying. Gregory, what's going on, Gregory? Good to see you. Um, just I just know my Uncle Neil was a very funny man, even though he more so became paralyzed from the waist down and didn't want to smell free TV. Okay, Phil TV. Okay, gotcha. Okay, at its best, says Ian Sharp. Yep, exactly. Okay at its best. I had issues, and it is what it is. He's his father's son. Dino still 5 for 10 for me. Yeah. My son's blowing me kisses and trying to kiss my toes, says Marina. Nice. There you go. I get you. Okay. I think Will Rogers sang that song, Regina. Roberta was a fancy Hispanic name. I love that this has become a feet thread. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Quentin Tarantino would love this conversation. Yeah, no, what's going on? And he just lets her die. Yes, Mike Barrett. It's so awful. BC's beer reviews. Cheers, guys. Cheers. Had another beer reviewer in here last night. So my son's blowing. So yeah, no. So that's the movie. Some interesting trivia. Let's see, is there even any? No, just that they turned it into an X-rated porn movie. But I'm curious if anybody gave this a 1 star. Nobody gave this a 1 star. Did anybody? Okay, here we go. Let's read this, because this might say some things that I feel. Maybe we need to let her die or save her pole. Black Roses. Below mediocre, it sounds like CM. Ian Sharp, 4 out of 10. Yeah, okay, there you go. And again, it's going to be a long time unless one pops out to me before I talk about some of these Giallo films. I will still be watching them. I'm going to keep watching these, but as reviews on the channel, probably not unless one really pops out. Just because of the nature of the movies and stuff. And I think I've just beaten a dead horse with a stick. You know what I mean? I get it. You know what I mean? With that said, I am going to venture on to a new category of films, which Paul Hamm kind of told me about, and I'd really like to dive into some Euro horror. And he specifically mentioned, if I can find the notes again. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to find it. They're here somewhere. He said they're like werewolf movies, vampire movies, stuff like that. So very interesting. But one user gave it a 2 out of 10. And he says, distasteful film whose ultimate message is disturbing. So here we go. The slasher has a pedestrian plot of multiple murders of beautiful married women who cheat on their husbands. Not only is the lovingly rendered pictorial dwelling on their naked bodies, both before and after death, disturbingly unnecessary, this distasteful film message seems to be that women who are unmarried can be acceptably promiscuous. However, once they are married and continue to be promiscuous, they deserve death. Not so the husbands, whether condoning it or ignorant of it. They can have as many affairs as they want without any disapproval. What decadent hogwash. The sole redeeming feature of this film is the chance to see expatriate Farley Granger, yes, in a lead role at 47, and he looks good even with the mustache. Unfortunately, he's way too expressive for the one-note role he's given here. A year later, he looks even better in the comedy thriller Arnold, in which he ironically gets bumped off in a nude shower scene in an odd reversal of Psycho. Very interesting. Very interesting. I might have to look up Arnold now. Blue Eyes of a Broken Doll would be a good one to do Spanish Giallo. Oh, yeah. No, Mike. If I come across a movie, a Giallo film that sticks out for me and is very interesting to talk about, without all these underlying subtext and misogyny and everything else, I'd like a good slasher type Giallo film with a deep plot that means something. You know what I mean? That's just me. Anyways, that's somebody with mommy issues 100%. Yeah. And something usually mom's really messed up somehow. Big fan of Farley Granger, Poe Girl Shines. Am I missing something? It's like a cow, I understand, no waste or wasting to survive. No one looked at a cow. So okay, yeah, I'm trying to look at the chat. You guys are talking about feet, and it's getting really weird. Really weird. Here, let's see. One more. Let's see. Anybody give it a 3 stars? One person gave it a Strangers on a Train. Star distracting. Wait, what is this about? Warning spoilers. I don't care about it. What the heck? Strangers on a Train, star distracting. That makes no sense. Most movie buffs will have seen the captioned Hitchcock film from 1950 and perhaps the earlier Rope 1948. But here's a chance to see another Farley Granger performance 22 years down the line. I was impressed how little he had aged. He plays Inspector Capuana in this very average Italian horror film from 1972. In fact, I found him unwittingly distracting because I kept thinking of the above films and how he now looked a little bit like Rock Hudson in his mature years, wearing a mustache. That's the other thing. This film did not even give me horror vibes, really. It's a crime thriller. We put Giallo films in the horror genre. It's a sub genre of horror, but this one in particular just didn't get that moody, eerie kind of horror vibe at all. It kind of just strictly crime thriller for me. I could be wrong, but Farley was good in Rope. Listen, you get me talking about those films. Rope is excellent, as well as many other. Aloha, let feet talk. Thanks, Harry Scott. Thumbs up. Granger is good in Something Creeping in the Dark. Yes, that's another film. Poe Girl Shines. Yep. Sounds like your Giallo and Italian horror. But yeah, I could go on and on talking about this, you guys. But I think I could leave it to rest there. There might be a paranormal show tomorrow. This is the best horror feed channel on YouTube. Dark and Stormy Night. Good one, Dark and Stormy Night. Everyone seems a little loony tonight, including I. Marina. Hey, listen, it's good to see some new people in here. Marina, Poe Girl, I know I've seen you before. It's been a while. Dark and Stormy Night, definitely good to hear from you. Love you guys are having a nice conversation, everything going on. Granger was also good in Giallo called Amok. You know what? Amok is one I haven't seen. So on the list. Yes, as always, High Boy Donuts. Donald Duck Apple Juice. Yep. But I might have a paranormal show tomorrow night live. I may. I'm not quite sure. It will post tomorrow if I do. But yeah, classic trivia Saturday nights. Tomorrow I will have a poll up for movie night coming this Friday for all channel members and Patreon members. So look for the poll and pick your flick you want to watch for this Friday on Cosme. So there you go. And for everybody who stopped by today, thank you, thank you, thank you. Ending a little bit earlier tonight, I am going to get ready for The Shadow overnight. The Shadow knows. Bill John Stone. There are timestamps, so you can look at the list and see if you'll enjoy it tonight. How can you not? It's The Shadow. He always knows. But with that said, thank you, thank you, thank you. Sergio Omar passing through, but congratulations on your 100K. Thank you, Sergio. Thank you, Sergio. Always good to have new people popping in the chat. I'm looking. Okay, I'll leave that be there a second. Just checking. Thank you, Dino Mods. Peace. Thank you, CM. And thank you guys all for being here. Cutting it short a little bit tonight. Going to get ready. Got a busy night tonight. Get ready for the some new content with the fish tanks and the all the new stuff that I got going on. So much love to you guys, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.